Take your podcast to the next level with Media 22. From top-tier equipment to custom sets and a dedicated producer, we'll make you sound like a pro. We specialize in audio and video podcasts, video editing, content distribution, and live streaming for creators and businesses. Visit media22llc.com today for your free consultation. Media 22, where excellence meets creativity. Big Brothers Big Sisters of Wisconsin, in partnership with NFL Inspire Change, is launching the Big Draft, a statewide campaign to recruit 700 new mentors for Wisconsin's youth. Supported by NFL players and Mark Murphy, president and CEO of the Green Bay Packers, our goal is to recruit 700 bigs statewide, including 100 in Dane County, from February to April. We need community champions to help spread the word and become mentors. Mentorship transforms lives, offering youth the support and opportunities they need to succeed. Join us and make a big difference. Looking for an exciting way to get outside and support a great cause? Join The Hunt, a fun, adventurous series of missions that will have you exploring the beauty of Dane County while raising money for Big Brothers Big Sisters. Teams of up to 10 people can participate, making it the perfect opportunity to bring together friends, family, colleagues, bigs, littles, and anyone who loves a little friendly competition. From April 25th through May 18th, take on engaging challenges, explore your community, and make a positive impact along the way. Sign up your team today or get your company involved by sponsoring the event. Don't miss out on the fun. You can visit bbbsmadison.org/events to get started. The Hunt, adventure, competition, and giving back. You are listening to the Big Difference Podcast, a podcast about empowering youth and strengthening communities through the transformative power of mentorship. I'm your host, Tracy Anderson, Community Partnerships Manager at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dane County, and we're very excited today to have an empowering conversation with our amazing guests. I will have a co-host with me today, our Fund Development Coordinator, Irelyn Baumberger, to help me with this interview. She knows so much more about football than I do, so she's going to be jumping in with some questions. But today's episode is awesome. We are so excited. We're diving more into our Big Draft recruitment campaign, statewide initiative that launched in February. This campaign runs until April 26th with the goal of recruiting 700 new bigs across 14 organizations throughout Wisconsin. Here in Dane County, our goal is to bring in 100 new mentors. Well, we're thrilled to have a very special guest with us today. Our first celebrity that's going to be talking to us about his involvement with this impactful campaign. Joining us today is Travis Beckum, a Wisconsin Badger, Super Bowl champion, and W Club member, and a passionate advocate for Big Brothers Big Sisters. Travis holds a special place in his heart for our organization, and we're excited to hear about his journey and why he's supporting the Big Draft cause. Travis, thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, so are we. Irelyn and I have been excited ever since we knew you were going to be on. You're a Wisconsin Badger, you're a Super Bowl champion, and a W Club member. Can you tell us what first inspired you to get involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Yeah, it was just some of the golf events that I was at, and being at the hole and waiting for the next team to tee off, and having the littles run past, and kind of hearing their stories and engaging with them, and just being able to use my platform. They looked at me like an idol, and I was just out there trying to play the game of golf, but just being able to have an impact and have an impact on their outcome through their trials and tribulations, and just being able to really have someone that they can chat to through tough times.
Yeah, that's got to be awesome for a kid to be able to see you on the golf field, like, wow, looking up to you. So what has been the most rewarding part of your experience with the organization?
I would probably say just knowing at the end of the day, again, that you have an impact. I think one of the things in my life is that I lived my dream, and that was to play in the NFL. My goal was to give back and engage with UW and help with the student athletes and help navigate through their journey. Obviously, the game of NIL has really changed. And just being able to have an impact on them, but also with the littles, just having an impact on them, because those could essentially be those players in the future, and just really being a positive role model for those individuals.
Yes. How has working with Big Brothers Big Sisters impacted your life personally?
If I can go every day with at least making one person's day for the rest of my life, I think I would be good. That was another one of my goals, whether it's holding the door for someone or telling someone that they smell good or I like their hair. You really never know what anyone else is going through right before you see them, unless you personally know them. And just seeing the impact that I have on these kids just by playing the game of football and being able to open up to them is really what gives me the most joy.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, we're so excited to have you here. I can't reiterate that enough. Not only were you an amazing person on the field, but to know that you're an amazing person off the field and you care about our mission. So thank you so much again for partnering up with us. Let's take it back a little. Can you tell us a little bit about your story or what your experience was like as a kid?
So grew up in Milwaukee and really found my way through football, and that was hanging out with the kids in the neighborhood. A lot of the kids were older, but almost like football was my scapegoat. And I knew that probably since I was 7 or 8 years old, or probably 6 or 7 years old, that I would look at the TV and tell my mom that I was going to play in the NFL one day, and her essentially being the only one that actually believed it. The older kids in the neighborhood never believed it. Just being able to play with them and obviously go through some tough times. They're a lot bigger, stronger, faster than me, but I think that kind of made me who I was. I think that's the reason what really drove me to inspire to play in the NFL and then be fortunate enough to actually win a Super Bowl.
And I just got to say, I love hearing stories of people manifesting their dreams. Like you said, I love it, because you said to your mom, this is what I'm going to do, and look what you became. So, yes.
She's a believer, and I think I'm very optimistic, very glass half full, and I love talking with kids and telling them that there's probably a 0.001% chance of any of you guys playing in the NFL, but I was a part of that 0.001%. If I can do it, why can't you?
Wow. That's an amazing mindset. So did you have a mentor growing up?
I really leaned in on my family. My mom was my biggest fan. I would say probably my mom. My mom and my little sister. I still remember videos, and this is back when you have the cassette, the VHS, and she's running up and down the sidelines, tripping over. I'm scoring a touchdown, and she's tripping over the sidelines, and I can't even go back and watch the touchdown because the camera was pointed at the ground. And so I would say my mom was my mentor. And I also I like to think outside the box and kind of had the mindset that I knew at the end of the day that I was going to be the one that controlled my own destiny. People had an impact on my life, but I knew essentially if I was going to try and get to the top, I was going to solely have the biggest impact on my career.
Nice.
Wow. Well, obviously you worked super hard to get to where you are. So we have to ask, tell us about your Super Bowl ring and your Super Bowl experience.
The biggest thing that I wanted to accomplish in life was to play in the NFL. And to win a Super Bowl was that much more. First 2 years in New York were tough for us. We didn't make the playoffs. The third year was an unbelievable year. We barely got into the playoffs. We needed to win the last 2 games of the season to even get into the playoffs. We had Atlanta come to New York, beat Atlanta, super bittersweet. We went to Lambeau the next game to play in Green Bay. It's funny because I always tell a story to little kids and show them my Super Bowl ring, and they start cheering. And a part of them cheering and a part of my journey to the Super Bowl was having to beat the Packers, and they start booing me. And so the way that I get their attention again is I tell them that we beat Tom Brady. So they start cheering again. So my dream was always to play in the NFL, and Super Bowl was that much more. It's something that no one can ever take away from me.
Exactly. And the fact that you beat Tom Brady, I mean, that's just...
that is incredible.
That's the cherry on top.
The kids are probably at home cheering right now.
Yeah. And I do want to say one other thing, too. It's like, I think with mentorship, as you're talking to children, being realistic with them, right? Saying, hey, these are the chances of you making it. But then also, like, being on a team and learning how to be a team player, right? Because there's people, that you're not going to like. There's people you're going to like. How do you work with a team? How do you work with coaches? I'm sure you have a lot of conversations with children that way, too. Yeah,
absolutely. I like to be honest. Again, I think one of the biggest impacts on my career was that I was smaller than a lot of those kids that I played in the neighborhood. And I got my butt whooped, but it made me it made me want to come back and be stronger and be faster, more physical. And I kind of look at it with any path without obstacles probably doesn't lead anywhere. So I like challenges. But just being honest with kids and not sugarcoating things and holding them accountable. I think a lot of times people tell kids things to just get them through the end of the day. But I really want to, if I'm going to have an impact on your life, I'm going to have to be honest with you. Yeah,
it's all about resiliency. Yeah. I mean, you really need that today.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't ever get rejected, I mean, how are you going to know how to get over it? You got to get over it.
Failure. Yeah. I mean, even till this day, the best way to learn is by failing. There's a lot of people that are afraid to fail. I mean, don't get me wrong. No one likes to fail, but you learn so much about yourself once you fail.
It's true.
How you overcome.
You get used to it after a while.
Yeah. I think that's an amazing sentiment to share with children because that's really going to help them in the long run, and that's part of with them looking up to you. It's going to set these realistic expectations, but also show them that you can't just rely on outside factors. It has to be your intrinsic motivation to get you there.
It's gonna come down to you.
I mean, to play football, you really do have to have thick skin.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. Yeah, it's a physical game, and that's the thing, and that's always a tough question too. Is you guys bring up a good point because some parents don't let their kids play football, and some do. And it's like, well, when did you start playing football? And it's a physical game, and obviously they're doing the things that they can do right now to kind of tone it down. But I'm going to give my kid that option. But at the same time, I'm going to let them know that there is a negative side to this game, and it's scary. But one thing that I will always preach, that if you play timid and if you play scared and think that the worst is going to happen, it's going to happen if you go out there and step on that field.
A lot like life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. We know that you work closely with our Milwaukee agency. What type of events, besides, I know we talked a little bit about the golf events, but what else have you helped out with, or what has been your favorite event that you've done?
Yeah, so I have some events planned here in the next couple months. I think Neil got me to DJ like the last hour of one of these events. But probably one of the last events, it was in Milwaukee, and it was about being a game changer. And Chris Middleton, I think is actually, now I think about it, he actually just got traded. But he was, last thing I was in Milwaukee, chatting with the kids, hanging out with them, and then signed the wall. Chris was going to come, I think he came like 2 weeks later, and then obviously now he got traded. But just being able to get to engage with the kids and hear their stories. There was a couple kids that were from Oak Creek High School, which was my former high school, which is awesome. And the biggest thing is that when you look at the NFL and look at these guys that are winning championships, I mean, we had this past year, we had 2 players from Wisconsin that were in the Super Bowl. So just being a homegrown kid, I think is powerful and really gives the kids a new outlook to really say, like, hey, you can absolutely do this just because you're from the small state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, right. And then you and I were talking a little bit before the podcast, but you have a great relationship with Neil, with the Milwaukee agency. So do you go back, how often do you go back to Milwaukee?
Not too often, unless we have different golf outings. Really stay out here in the Madison area and just really incorporated with Wisconsin athletics and trying to support any way that I can, as well as going out and chatting with the Milwaukee chapter as well.
Well, with this big draft recruitment campaign, we are promoting it everywhere. So TV, on podcasts, radio interviews, partnering with local businesses for Give Back Days. And Travis is involved. He's actually an ambassador during this campaign, and which is truly incredible. And who better to help us inspire others and make a difference than you, right? You're going to be a part of interviews. I know you and I are going to be doing an interview with Lee Aker, attending events. You're going to be a beer tender at Working Draft Beer, the draft party. You're on this podcast. Is there anything that you're looking forward to, or that you would think is one of your favorite things to do when you're doing the volunteer work?
I know I said it earlier, but just having an impact and really having purpose. I think the older that we get, the more that we realize that how important and how valuable our time is. And just knowing that I'm spending a lot of time with nonprofit and helping others grow and being able to tell my story from a perspective of it wasn't always the prettiest, but I did have the opportunity to live my dream, and one of my goals is to give back, and I have the ability to use my platform to do that.
So obviously we're excited to have you, and you're going to help with our big draft campaign, which has been going on for a while now. And with our NFL draft party, having you there is just even cooler because you were a part of an NFL draft. So how was that experience for you? What was that like?
You watch TV and they show you the previous years of what the draft looked like. And I'm in Wisconsin in college, and then just really having a tough last 2 years of my career at Wisconsin. I dislocated my shoulder the last game of the season, my junior year, and then came back the next year for my senior year. Really was the biggest year for me to have the most impact, to get drafted the highest. And I ended up breaking my leg my senior year. So obviously just your draft stock going down when that happens, and kind of hearing, well, you're going to be anywhere from a first-round draft pick to a fifth-round draft pick, and really having to wait and see what teams' needs are. And so I went back to Milwaukee. Actually, the New York Giants were the only team that I met with. They have 2 picks in the second round and 2 in the third. I kind of expected, I don't know if I expected to get drafted by the Giants, because that was the only team that I actually took a visit to go see. But I had my family in Milwaukee, had everyone together. This was when the first and the second round were on the first day, and then the third through the 7th round were on the second day. So I didn't get picked the first day. Start of the third round was the second day. So we were all back together and watching the 99th pick and seeing that phone call. And then right after, my phone rings. And I made sure that I told all my friends, my family, make sure you don't call me on this day prior to me getting drafted. But picked up the phone. It was the New York Giants, basically telling me probably the best news that I've ever heard. Opportunity to live my dream. Are you ready to be a Giant? Absolutely. And yeah, the tears came out. The family was there. And the next thing, I was off going to New York and in training to be a Giant.
Wow.
Wow.
Take your podcast to the next level with Media 22. From top-tier equipment to custom sets and a dedicated producer, we'll make you sound like a pro. We specialize in audio and video podcasts, video editing, content distribution, and live streaming for creators and businesses. Visit media22llc.com today for your free consultation. Media 22, where excellence meets creativity. What is that like, though, like waiting? You explain it so well,
Yeah.
and we were just looking back, because the draft party, we really want to treat it like a draft with bigs and everything, but what is that like? Like, what's going through your head when you're waiting? The first day passes, you have family and friends that are waiting there. Like, what are you going through?
Obviously, it's a little frustrating because, again, the Giants had 2 picks in the second round, and I did get the opportunity to live my dream and got picked in the second pick in the third round. But in my head, I'm like, man, why couldn't you just have picked me with one of the picks in the second round? But really, it's about a time to have all your family there together. And it's a moment that I'll remember for the rest of my life. It was just the opportunity to have my family be there and have an impact. And all of us gather that experience together. Because like you said, it is one thing to watch the TV and see it happen to somebody else, and then completely another thing to actually happen to you.
Yeah, I just keep thinking of the self-talk that you must have in your mind,
Wow.
and how you overpower that and stay positive and not just have negative thoughts or like keep putting yourself down. Is there any tip? I'm sure you give like kids tips like this too, but we all have that mind game, right? So are there any like tips that you give kids?
To get drafted higher? Well, I think everything happens for a reason. And I think at the end of the day, all we have is our story. And it just makes for a better story. And especially the guys that go on, like, for instance, Tom Brady. Tom Brady was a 7th round draft pick, and now he has, what does he have, 6 or 7 Super Bowl rings? You know what I mean? So just being able to really have a day like that impact you the way that it did, and obviously be optimistic. Of course, I would have loved to go in the first or second round, but sometimes you need to call a spade and realize that the injury didn't help my senior year. But at the end of the day, all that really does is give you the opportunity to get more money. But again, my dream was to play in the NFL. And I would have liked a little bit more money, but the overall goal was to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think that's truly inspiring because you had to overcome a hardship your senior year of college. So what advice would you give to people in a similar position?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in any path without obstacles probably doesn't lead anywhere. And just kind of like I just said, as far as the story, it just makes for a better story. If I was to sit down with you guys today and tell you how fabulous my life was, and how I was fed with a silver spoon, and I wake up every day and there's no struggles or challenges, and that would be a boring story. You know what I mean? And just really being able to talk to kids and be an avenue for them and really tell them that the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and which is why I love what I do now, because I have a direct impact on the student athletes at the University of Wisconsin and telling them my story, because a lot of times through their path, a lot of people tell them what they want to hear and not what they need to hear. Mm-hmm. And it's one thing to talk to the kids and you work for the university, but you never stepped a foot in their shoes, versus me that has done it before and understands where they're coming from and can tell them my story, and just being able to have a direct impact that way.
Yeah.
That's definitely part of what makes you such an amazing mentor and someone that people can look up to. So when you did get into the NFL, did you have any teammates that kind of took you under their wing, or people that you could look up to?
Yeah, when I first got drafted, our tight end room was super close. Obviously, you go into an environment where you're brand new, there's all fresh faces. I was always a mama's boy, a homebody, and funny to think about it, because even when I got drafted to New York, it was like, man, I get the opportunity to live my dream, but New York is so far from Wisconsin. But the tight ends really stepped up and took me under their wings. It was a veteran group. Obviously, they gave me a tough time as a rookie. That's a part of the territory, but I would say that the tight ends really took me under their wing.
That's awesome to hear. You mentioned being a rookie, so do you have any favorite memories with your teammates on or off the field? Or I don't know if they pranked you or anything, or made you pay for dinner and just left.
Yeah, there was rookie year left me with the check, and I think it was like $20,000, and I'm just trying to think about like how do I call my financial advisor and tell them this. And you got people ordering $500 bottles of wine, but no, it was. I knew it came with the territory. I mean, it could have been worse. You should have seen some of those bills for the first round draft picks, which were just ridiculous. But training camp was always tough. It was in upstate New York, and you're away from your families, and it always seemed like the offensive linemen were the ones that really tried to get the rookies the worst. I remember it was like the first week of training camp, and I had like a green dye. They put like a green dye in my helmet, so I had a big, thick green line across my head. And the worst part is that it was on through the duration of training camp, but also another 2 weeks after we get back home. So, so it stayed on there for a while, and just some of the things that they used to do is they used to take some of the rookies' cars and drive them and put them like 3 miles away. There was a couple times that they parked Eli's car right in the middle of the football field. So they get creative. There was also another one where they put the icy hot in the jock strap.
Oh no!
So, yeah, I'll end the stories with that one. That was probably my least favorite, but yes, the stories are there.
Well, not to completely flip it on its head, but do you have any memories that are more of like a transformative experience, or something where you're like, we really are going to turn this around and go to the Super Bowl next year? Like, wow, this is what I can do.
Yeah, and that's a great question, because it was my third year in New York. And again, we needed to win the last 2 games just to get into the playoffs. And it was about getting hot. It was about the timing is everything, because we stuck together. I would probably say prior to those last 2 games, we were like, okay, well, this is going to be the 3rd year in a row that we didn't make the playoffs. And we got hot. We believed. Coach Coughlin was all in. Everything we needed to do, he was like, just let me know. I'm an open book. Guys were invested, and you can just see the chemistry within the players. And we got hot at the right time. Beats a New England football team that I think at the time only lost 1 game. And yeah, I mean, wow. I did tear my ACL in the Super Bowl in the 2nd quarter, but I got a ring out of it. So if there's another opportunity to tear my ACL in the Super Bowl, I'll definitely do it.
Oh my gosh. That's intense.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. So what is life like now for you? Tell us what are you up to? What are you doing? You're in Madison and
Yep. So I do the corporate sponsorship for the Badgers. So any of the marketing, the advertising, radio, NIL, as I said earlier. NIL has really changed the game as far as branding and brand ambassador opportunities for the student athletes. So one of the most important things is I've learned so much through my journey starting at Wisconsin and leaving going to play pro ball, and then coming back to corporate America. It's tough, especially when you have an alpha personality like me, and just really having to completely switch it up and figure out life after football. But just being able to have an impact on the student athletes and tell them my journey and help brands grow, learn about the brand, what are their morals, what are their values, and essentially find a student athlete that has the same morals and values and help them grow their brand as far as a student athlete, because I think it's a great opportunity now for them to build a foundation and build their brand to where they can come back and have those relationships and have those opportunities to engage with whatever they would like to do, whether it's a job opportunity or foundation. It's really a great path and a great way for really tell their story.
Yeah, because young people, I mean, with this NIL, they really need guidance with this because, I mean, they're getting deals and making a lot of money. Yeah. So as a young person, I'm sure they don't know what to do. Yeah. And what direction to go in. And
that's the worst thing is the worst people to have money is someone that has never had it before.
Right.
I just remember when I first got the check for my signing bonus, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? But again, it's tough because, again, everyone tells you what you want to hear, and all of a sudden the money starts coming in and people start coming out of the woodwork, and you feel obligated, and you don't want to be selfish, but at the same time, like, this is your family. You know what I mean? This is your way to put food on the table. And so it's challenging, but the biggest thing now is the fact that I can help guys talk about financial literacy and find people that are going to have their best interests at heart.
Yeah, that's great. That is really good because, you know, I was just thinking, like, as you were speaking, there is so much pressure. Some of these athletes are thinking about their families, and then everybody is telling them what they want to hear and giving them everything they want and not being able to separate those things. And then you're so young. Yeah. You're a young person.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
They're lucky to have you. Okay, so let's get into golf.
Okay.
Because you love golf.
Love golf.
You're an avid golfer. When did you first start golfing?
Oh, when did I first start golfing? Probably not soon enough. So 2000, I've probably been golfing for about 5 years, 5 or 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So it was new. It's a great opportunity to network, to find a game that you can't just go out and use your athletic ability on, because that was so much what I was used to being able to do. But I would say probably 5 or 6 years ago was the first time I really got engaged with golf.
Golf is really big in Madison.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't golfed, so I don't know. But, I mean, people out here treat it like it's a full-time job.
It is.
I mean, I see people on LinkedIn Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday golfing. Yeah. And, I mean, they make it a job. So I'm like, we need to get on this. And you're a part of a golf league. So how often do you play golf?
Yeah, so I play at least once a week. It depends on the time of the year. Hopefully my boss isn't listening to this, because I probably during the season I'm probably golfing about 2 or 3 times a week. But the thing is that it's such a networking sport. You can learn so much about an individual after a round of golf. You can see the highs, how they respond to the highs. You can see how they respond to the lows. And it's just a great time, a great opportunity to spend 4 hours with someone that you might not know and can build on a relationship that could last for forever.
Yeah, it's a lot of conversations.
A lot of conversations.
Out there, huh?
A lot of conversations.
I love the way that you talk about golf, because I think that's an important part for athletes to know. I mean, you can't play football forever, these like contact sports. So it's good to pick something else up. So hopefully, you know, people can look up to what you're doing now and know, oh, that could be something that I could do.
Yeah. It's just a game that it's not an easy game. And I know that organizations across the country, I know Vibes Golf, there's like First Tee, there's other organizations that are really trying to make golf for everyone, because I think back in the day it was really a condensed sport where everyone wasn't able to play, and now they're making it for everyone. And it's just an opportunity, again, to really have people get out, network, and have the opportunity to gain some business as well.
Yeah, it is. And we were talking before the podcast about like charity golf events. And so I know you do a lot of those, and that's great because you've got your love for golf, but then you're philanthropic at the same time. So can you share some of the golf charities that you're involved with?
Yeah, so I do MAC Fund every year, which is Midwest Athletes Against Childhood Cancer, Tellurian Golf Outing, which is always awesome. Any outing that I can really help give back to the kiddos. Obviously, the Big Brothers Big Sisters NFL alumni outings. We won the outing last year. in Milwaukee.
Okay.
So we ended up winning a trip to go out and play in Louisiana. But then Madison has their chapter. They always play up at Trapper's Turn. So I think just really being able to soak it all in and know that we're able to use the platform and help raise funds for the kiddos.
Yeah. And I think you kind of touched on this a little bit too, but I just want to know, like, why you love golf so much. Because honestly, as soon as I brought it up, you like lit up. You were like, yes, I love golf. So just to have something too, which I'm sure you give advice to kids on, like having that hobby, having that outside of other things, it's so healthy for you.
Yeah.
Where does this love come from? What makes you so happy about it?
So for instance, last night I went to Pin Seekers and I was hitting golf balls, and it was my best range session that I had by myself. Never hit golf balls better. And you know what it does is me with my competitive self, like, okay, well, I got to figure out what time this interview ends because I'm getting ready to go hit some golf balls right after. I'm just kidding. I'm not.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's where I'm going with this is that it's a game that you can have the most highs, but then the next day you can go back and play the same course, hit the same club, the same golf ball, and it can be a completely different shot. I just have that competitive nature that I know if I can do it once, I can do it again. And that's not the game of golf. And I'm extremely hard on myself. I expect the best from myself. Sometimes I feel like the amount of times that I've golfed, I should be on tour, but I know that I'm not on tour. Just really the reason why I love the game of golf is because it's so challenging. And again, I can't use my athletic ability to just go out and beat people. There's a lot of humbling rounds that I've had where I've been beat by older men that were 70 years old that can just hit the ball straight down the middle. And yeah, you might be able to hit the ball 300 yards further, but it might be 300 yards left or 300 yards right. So finding that happy medium and just being able to embrace the opportunity to go out and play well, but really take it as a learning lesson when you don't play as well.
Yeah, which is a lot like football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot like football.
I have to say, Pin Seekers stresses me out.
What?
I've been to Pin Seekers.
I thought you said you never golfed before.
Well, that's technically not golfing, is it?
Well, I guess it's a driving.
Well, like, I went and hung out with friends.
Oh, but
and
you
then
didn't
I
swing
golfed.
Okay.
I did, and I found it very stressful.
Okay, so did you?
I was terrible at it.
Did you have drinks prior?
I mean, I had a cocktail.
Exactly. So you can't expect yourself to just go out there and play like you're on tour after a couple cocktails.
I mean, I've done like the mini golfing. Pin Seekers, that was the first time I've ever done anything like that. Okay, well, that's good advice.
Yeah, see?
I will not have a cocktail when I go to Pin Seekers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll have to have you give us some lessons because
I'm not that good. I'm not that good. But after last night, what I did last time, I might be giving out lessons. It's just now it's just the fact that if I can go out and continues to do it, golf is about consistency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, eventually I'll get better, I'm sure. All right, well, we're coming to the end of the episode, and in wrapping up this podcast episode, I have one last question. In what ways can others in the community make a big difference in the lives of youth through mentorship?
I think being authentic is huge, and finding what makes your heart happy. I think a lot of people can spend their time investing in things that don't matter, but there's a lot of kids out there's a lot of people that are struggling that might not show it. And just being able to use your platform, being able to get comfortable being uncomfortable and reaching out to someone, or finding organizations that support kids that are less fortunate, that don't have a positive role model, and just you being able to have an opportunity to be a positive role model on somebody else is empowering, and I think just being able to really have a purpose and an impact on somebody else's life.
Well said. Thank you so much for being here,
appreciate
Travis Beckum, a Wisconsin Badgers Super Bowl champ and W Club member, and a passionate advocate for Big Brothers Big Sisters. Travis is proudly serving as an ambassador for the Big Draft campaign, which launched in February and runs through April 26. We are beyond excited, appreciative, and grateful to have you as a part of the campaign. Thank you so much for your time and support. I really enjoyed the conversation. I don't know about you.
It was truly a pleasure. It was so much fun talking to you.
You're our first celebrity on here.
Am I?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a golf celebrity, but
okay.
Well, yeah, we got to figure out
maybe
that
one day.
One day.
You can come back when you're on tour.
Yes. That's perfect. Perfect. All right. Thank you for listening to the Big Difference Podcast, a podcast about empowering youth and strengthening communities through the transformative power of mentorship. I'm your host, Tracy Anderson, Community Partnerships Manager at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dane County. To learn more, you can go to our website, bbbsmadison.org. It's all about making the big difference. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Looking for an exciting way to get outside and support a great cause? Join The Hunt, a fun, adventurous series of missions that will have you exploring the beauty of Dane County while raising money for Big Brothers Big Sisters. Teams of up to 10 people can participate, making it the perfect opportunity to bring together friends, family, colleagues, bigs, littles, and anyone who loves a little friendly competition. From April 25th through May 18th, take on engaging challenges, explore your community, and make a positive impact along the way. Sign up your team today or get your company involved by sponsoring the event. Don't miss out on the fun. You can visit bbbsmadison.org/events to get started. The Hunt, adventure, competition, and giving back. Big Brothers Big Sisters of Wisconsin, in partnership with NFL Inspire Change, is launching the Big Draft, a statewide campaign to recruit 700 new mentors for Wisconsin's youth. Supported by NFL players and Mark Murphy, President and CEO of the Green Bay Packers, our goal is to recruit 700 bigs statewide, including 100 in Dane County, from February to April. We need community champions to help spread the word and become mentors. Mentorship transforms lives, offering youth the support and opportunities they need to succeed. Join us and make a big difference.